The future conditional tense, or the tiempo condicional, is yet another useful verb tense that you probably use all the time in English. Let's see how to use it and form it in Spanish. Now, first things first, in the upcoming grammar explanations, you'll hear me use the word clause, which might be confusing. So when I say clause, you can just think part of a sentence with a verb in it. If you want a more detailed explanation of clauses, have a look in the video description. In both languages, we use the conditional to talk about things hypothetically. It's called conditional because it only happens when and if a condition is met. If the condition isn't met, it won't happen. Here's an example. Let's say a friend asks you for some money. You want to help, but you don't have anything to give, so you say, "If I had money, I would give it to you." The condition for you being able to give money, having money, is not met. That's why the action, giving, is hypothetical. Despite your intentions, your friend isn't getting any money from you. It's kind of hard to talk about things that might happen in other circumstances, but they're not happening now, and that's why the conditional is so useful. The conditional future in English is a compound tense, which means it takes multiple verbs to form it. For us, the auxiliary verb, or helping verb, is would. Then we use the regular form of the verb. The conditional tense of the English verb to travel, for example, is would travel. Notice the two verbs. Side note, since the conditional tense is usually triggered by, well, a condition, you will probably see the word if in the related clause. Let's have a few examples in English here. If we had the time, we would travel the world. In these sentences, the conditional is on the right-hand side. That's what this video is going to teach you to form in Spanish. Now, the verb used with the if clause goes in a tense called the imperfect subjunctive, and we are not working on that right now. Notice, by the way, that the if clause doesn't necessarily have to come first. These sentences still make perfect sense, and the same will go for Spanish. The order is not important. Now, why do some people call this the future conditional? Because we're talking about current situations with hypothetical future actions. But you could also make similar statements about the past, let's say 20 years ago. 20 years ago, if you had given him a chance, he would have done a good job. In that case, this would be called the past conditional. But that's also not what we're working on right now. It's just in case you're curious about the name of the tense. Okay, one more thing about the usage of the conditional. Just like in English, the conditional in Spanish also has a second use, being polite. Instead of saying, "I want a sandwich," we can make things more polite by saying, "I would like a sandwich, please." Notice how when you use the conditional in this way, you don't need another clause at all. There is no if here. So now that we know when to use the conditional, let's see how to form it in Spanish. Good news! The future conditional is very similar to the simple future, which we already learned about. There's a link below. The steps are, number 1, get the infinitive of the verb with no conjugation or changes, and then add these endings: ia, ias, ia, íamos, íais, ían. And these endings go for all the verb types we have. AR, ER, and IR verbs. There's no need to change endings for different verbs. So, only 2 steps for the conditional formation. Easy, right? Let's practice. The verb limpiar means to clean. Step 1, get the infinitive. That's easy, the infinitive is right here. With that in the chart, we add the endings, ia, ias, etc. So that gives us this chart. Notice how the accents tell us to emphasize those syllables. Yo limpiaría, tú limpiarías, ella limpiaría, nosotros limpiaríamos, vosotros limpiaríais, and ellos limpiarían. So to say, if our friends came over, we would clean the house, would be, si nuestros amigos vinieran, limpiaríamos la casa. Now you try one. Ser means to be. Let's say you're about to drive a long time and everyone is hungry. How do you say, it would be better to eat something now in Spanish? That's right. Sería mejor comer algo ahora. Okay, let's try a whole chart. Pause the video and conjugate escribir in the conditional tense. Say the result out loud to practice pronunciation, and then unpause. Nice! Yo escribiría, tú escribirías, ella escribiría, nosotros escribiríamos, vosotros escribiríais, ellos escribirían. Bien hecho! Now, it wouldn't be Spanish or any language without a few exceptions. There are 12 irregular stems, but even so, the endings are the same as the ones we just learned. Plus, you'll notice that these irregular stems are the same stems as the ones for the irregular future verbs, which we've already learned, and the video is linked in the description. Caber takes the new stem cabr. So when we add the endings, the conjugation chart looks like this. Cabría, would it fit? Sí, cabría. Yes, it would fit. Poner takes the new stem pondr with a D. ¿Pondrías la mesa? Would you set the table? Decir takes the stem dir. ¿Qué diría tu madre? What would your mother say? Haber becomes habr. This doesn't get a chart since we only use the third person. Me dijeron que no habría problema. They told me there wouldn't be a problem. Salir becomes saldr with a D. ¿De verdad saldrías sin tu tapabocas? Would you really go out without your mask? Hacer becomes har. Yo haría cualquier cosa para hacerte feliz. I would do anything to make you happy. Poder becomes podr. Con ese dinero podrías comprar muchas cosas. With that money, you could buy a lot of things. Notice that we use could instead of would here. That's a shortcut. The other way to translate this is, you would be able to buy a lot of things. Tener becomes tendre. Sin poder hablar español, no tendrías este trabajo. Without being able to speak Spanish, you wouldn't have this job. Querer becomes quer with two R's. Si hubiera un equipo, ellos querrían jugar. If there were a team, they would want to play. Valer becomes valdr with a D. Nadie dijo que sería fácil. Dijeron que valdría la pena. No one said it would be easy. They said it would be worth it. Notice the two conditional verbs in this example. It would be sería and it would be worth valdría. They both have the subject it, which is why we use the third person singular form of the verbs. If that concept is confusing, you can check back on our regular conjugation video, which will be linked in the description. Saber becomes sabr. ¿Cómo sabría yo? How would I know? Finally, venir becomes vendre with a D. Dijiste que vendrías a verme. You said you would come see me. So, yes, there are 12 irregular conditional verbs, and those stems have to be memorized, but at least you can always count on the endings. Just memorize the irregular stems and these endings, and you'll be set. Before you go, why don't you practice translating these sentences into Spanish? You can pause the video to work on it, and I'll give you the answers in a second. Don't forget to pronounce your results out loud to yourself. Okay, so how'd you do? Number 1, what would you do? ¿Qué harías tú? Number 2, she would go to the gym. Ella iría al gimnasio. Number 3, if I could, I would read all day. Si pudiera, yo leería todo el día. Number 4, you could be a teacher. Tú podrías ser profesor or profesora. Number 5, I would like to go with you. Me gustaría ir contigo. Number 6, what would the ladies say? ¿Qué dirían las damas? If you'd like to keep working on the conditional, check out the video description. There will be information on clauses and links to other videos that will help with basic conjugation questions that lead up to being able to fully understand the video you just watched. You'll also find some songs in Spanish that feature the conditional tense in the lyrics. That's it! we've learned how to use and form the conditional tense in Spanish. You can find more language learning resources and videos like this one at lingolearner.com.